Hello everyone and welcome to the top 10 Kenpachis on Bleach Brave Souls. Now I know I haven't made the top 10 in a while. The last 2 months have been very busy with moving, and also these take a very long time to make, so it's hard to find the time. But I can't think of a better one to come back with than the top 10 Kenpachis in the game, seeing as we have so many now, including the most recent banner that featured 3 of them. As always, this is my opinion, everyone plays the game differently and prioritizes different aspects of the game, so your own results may vary. With that said, let's begin.
Bangkai 水無月雑境はこれにておしまい。
Now you know the list is full of some really great characters when Murder Mom is at number 10. While she may not be anymore, she was the longest reigning champion in PvP, holding the title of best PvP character for well over a year. And even though she doesn't hold that title anymore, she is still a very useful character, with a really high attack, flurry, long reach at 20, poise, meaning she can't be staggered when hit, and a really fast normal attack string. Her strong attack 2 is also a heal move, and she has a damage reduction soul trait of 16% that can be stacked up to 76%. This means that this character is actually a very good character to auto with, since she can't easily be taken out. In addition to that heal move strong attack 2, her special also heals the entire party for 60% of the total health, and it's got a 5% chance to insta-kill the enemy per hit. Now unfortunately she has a captain killer. This was great when she was top of the food chain in PvP, but outside of PvP, it doesn't really serve that much of a purpose. Yes, it can be useful in Senkaimon, arena mode, and some guild quests every now and then, but there are always better options for these enemies. So yeah, in the end, while there were other Kenpachis that made it on the honorable mentions list instead of the top 10 that actually do deal more damage than her, I feel that those characters are a bit more specific to their situation, whereas she can be used in more variety of situations, especially when autoing. Plus, in a pinch, you can actually still use her in PvP for a while.
今日は特別ですよ。ご覧なさい。降り注ぐ世界よ。
Next up is the Machine Society version of Retsu, who, and tell me if you heard this one, has a really high SP as well as Frenzy. All of her attacks can inflict debilitating freeze with the exception of her normal attack, which can inflict debilitating paralysis. Her strong attack 1 fires in 3 different directions, hitting multiple times up close. Her strong attack 2 encompasses a very large area in front of her, very near full screen, and her strong attack 3 is beyond full screen, thanks to her having Havoc at 20. She can also spam these attacks thanks to her strong attack recharge link, and she's also got guard break, meaning that enemies cannot guard against these attacks, and they always do the max amount of damage. Her strong attack 2 and 3 are very useful for taking out areas full of enemies, and her strong attack 1 is very useful for freezing bosses as well as racking up the combo. Unless it's up close though, it's not going to do that much damage, but having Berserker at 20% as well as that Frenzy definitely helps. Finally, to wrap up this great character, there's also the fact that she has the best killer, a Soul Reaper killer. This is the best because Soul Reapers are the most common enemies in the game, whether it be fodder enemies since there's 2 types, or bosses, since there's more Soul Reapers in the game than anything else, so the chances of you getting a boss that's a Soul Reaper is pretty high.
久しぶりにやってみるか剣道ってのよ 終われんのじゃ
Next up, we have a character that excels in arena mode, the arena mode version of Kenpachi. Now, personally, I don't really do much arena mode, and I actually don't know anyone else who does. So while I will be talking about it for this character, I didn't really hold it in that much regard when taking account the placement of the character. Still, even if you don't take that into account, he's still a very impressive character. He's got a really high attack, as well as bruiser at 40%, a normal attack damage increase of 20%, bringing that up to 60, and at low stamina, he does an extra 30% more damage, bringing it up to 90% before flurry at 1. In arena mode, he has flurry at 2. Not to mention, his normal attack is increased by 30% because of his arena trait. This does replace the soul trait of 20%, but still at low stamina, that's still a whopping 100% before flurry at 2, which is just crazy. Also, during arena mode, he has long stride, but enough about that. This Kenny also has last ditch survival at 100% as an ability, meaning that if he were to go down, he's guaranteed to come back up at least once. And he's got poise, meaning he can't be staggered. While he may not have that high of an SP, he does have Berserker at 50%, meaning his strong attacks do deal some damage, even more at low stamina. And his special, in addition to dealing damage, also inflicts weakened defense, which really helps out with the damage for his follow-up attacks, be it strong attack or normal attack. It also helps out with the special damage, but you're more than likely gonna end up chapping this character with that high attack, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. This Kenny is also completely immune to being drained, and much like the last character, also has a Soul Reaper killer, which again is the best killer in the game. In addition to that though, he's also got a 20% damage reduction ability when it comes to Soul Reaper damage, which can definitely come in handy when autoing against Soul Reapers, especially if you stack some more damage reduction on there. All in all, even outside of arena mode, he's still a very impressive character, can deal a lot of damage, and it's honestly refreshing to see another Kendo Kenny.
お前になら全力で戦っても良さそうだ。
バカだ。Now, while the last character was a remake of the original Kendo Kenny, this is a remake of the original Kenny, the one that transformed when using a special, and they definitely kept that part in, but we'll get to that. This Kenny has a really high SP, as well as Berserker at 40%, a strong attack damage link of 25%, and Frenzy, meaning that on his own, he increases his own strong attack damage by 65% before Frenzy. While he may not be a high attack character, he still managed to keep poise, meaning his attacks cannot be interrupted. And while yes, he doesn't have a strong attack recharge link, his normal attacks are still very usable, thanks to his 40% bruiser. Now while he may not have Havoc, he does have decent range on his strong attacks, with a full screen strong attack 3, a beam shot strong attack 2, and a lunge move strong attack 1. And as hard as they hit, they actually can get better thanks to his special. Not only does he have 60% devastation, meaning it deals a lot of damage, but it also transforms Kenny and gives him all of his strong attacks back. In other words, it's an instant recharge, so you can actually use 6 strong attacks in a row if you wanted with this character. Now the transformation doesn't actually affect Kenny's stats, they'll stay the same. What changes is the magnification of his attacks. In other words, his attacks deal more damage, since they go from a 120 mag to a 150 mag. This transformation also affects his normal attacks. Now while the change is not permanent and only lasts 30 seconds, his strong attacks do get instantly recharged when he transforms back, so strategize as you see fit. This Kenny also has a Soul Reaper killer, and to top things off, he has the natural ability to hit hidden enemies. This is especially useful because Soul Reapers really like to hide underground. This allows this character to clear an area much faster since he doesn't have to wait for enemies to come up, and it removes the need for a Zeta pill, freeing up that accessory slot for something else. All in all, this guy's just a powerhouse you can't hide from. Next up, we have the Swimsuit version of Retsu. Now this Retsu has a really high SP as well as Frenzy, Berserker at 20%, Havoc at 20%, Guard Break, and all of her attacks can inflict debilitating weakening, which just increases the amount of damage she inflicts. Thanks to the Havoc, these attacks have some really good range. Her strong attack 3 is beyond the range of a full screen while not actually being a full screen. Her strong attack 2 is a beam shot, and her strong attack 1 is a shave shot that forces enemies back, vastly increasing the combo, greatly increasing the chance of inflicting weakening, and lining it up correctly, dealing a massive amount of damage. This attack is particularly useful against bosses because of all of these reasons. This Retsu is also a potion drop character, meaning she's incredibly valuable, and her special, in addition to dealing damage and inflicting weakening, also inflicts weakened defense, making it an even harder hitting special, and it heals the entire party for 60% of their total health, making it one of the best specials in the whole game, to be honest. Much like what I'm now noticing is a lot of the other characters on this list, she also has a Soul Reaper killer. Plus she has the ability to ignore Soul Reaper dodges. Plus she's completely immune to being paralyzed, which is the Soul Reaper's preferred status element. At least it is for the fodder enemies. While there are better Kenpachis in this game, she is one of the more valuable ones, thanks to that potion drop ability. Add to that the weakening, the healing, and defense reduction, and you have yourself a must-have character.
刀2本ってのも悪くねえな。ほら！
Now it's always tricky to add primarily PvP characters in a list, unless that list is about PvP characters. The game is primarily PvE after all, but PvP is still a very important part, and a lot of players heavily invest in it, so you can't really ignore the characters. That's why it's always nice to get characters like the Beyond Bangkai version of Kenny, who, while he is primarily a PvP character, can still do remarkably well in PvE thanks to his abilities. This Kenny has a really high attack as well as Flurry at 2, no arena mode necessary. He's also got Berserker at 60%, Poise, meaning he cannot be staggered, and he's got Guard Break, meaning he can't be blocked. This Kenny is also completely immune from being both paralyzed and weakened, perfect for PvE and PvP, and he's got Last Ditch Survival as an ability, meaning he comes back once if he were to go down. He's also got a damage reduction soul trait that can be stacked up to 76%, and he starts anything he's in, whether it's PvE or PvP, with 10 barriers, to help protect him from enemy attacks. While his SP may not be that high, his special is still useful, since it has a chance to insta-kill the enemies. Now this Kenny has a Captain Killer, meaning he won't get the benefit of killer multiplication in regular PvE areas that allow it, unless you're fighting a boss and that boss just happens to be a captain. Still, even with that killer, thanks to the Flurry at 2 and every other ability I mentioned, he can actually do pretty well in PvE, but he really excels in PvP, since he's got abilities that are specifically made for it. For one thing, he prevents Last Ditch Survival, meaning other characters cannot revive even if they have the Last Ditch Survival ability. He's also got Brave Battle Counter, meaning he deflects damage back to the enemies, and he ignores the Brave Battle Invincibility ability. If you want to reach the best rank in PvP, this guy's a must. And honestly, even if you don't care about PvP, he's still a really good character to have. After all, you do still need good captain killers and things like Senkaimon and guild quests.
随所ほふりて生まれいで暗影たっ飛び追いさらばよ雅楽回廊
Okay, next up is Kenpachi Kuriashki. At least I hope that's how you pronounce his name. Much like the previous Kenpachi, this guy is also a PvP character. He also has a really high attack as well as flurry at 2, but he's got a bit more multipliers, since he's got an ability that increases the amount of damage Tech Soul Reapers deal with their normal attack by 20%. And remember, any multiplier added to him is multiplied by 3, since that flurry is at 2, which makes this next ability extra good, since in addition to dealing an extra 20% more normal attack damage since he's a Tech Soul Reaper, he also has an ability that increases the amount of damage dealt by 50% with his normal attack whenever he reaches half health, meaning at that point he's dealing on his own 70% more normal attack damage plus flurry at 2. And that's not all. He also has a damage reduction soul trait of 20% that can be stacked up to 80%. When he's at half health though, another ability goes off, decreasing the damage he's taking by 50%. Now this is 50% after the rest of the damage reduction calculation has been added. In other words, if he has 80% damage reduction and he's only taking 20% damage, this 50% would cut that in half to 10% damage, which is a lot of damage reduction. This guy can also ignore Brave Battle invincibility, prevent last ditch survival, and pierce barriers. To top things off, he's also completely immune to being weakened. Honestly, he's a pretty valuable character even outside of PvP, since while he does have a captain killer, his damage reduction and damage potential is incredibly high.
おかげで体が温まったぜ。さて、続きと行こうじゃねえか。
Next up is the newest iteration of Kenpachi Zaraki. This Kenny is currently tied with the highest SP in the game for a non-resurrected character, and has the highest consistent damage potential in the game. Now, I kinda have to phrase it that way because of the way some abilities work. Some characters can deal extra damage when their health is full, some when their health is low, and now some when they're below half health. Not to mention the characters whose SP and attack increase by 80% whenever they inflict a status ailment. As for Kenny, the amount of damage he deals with his strong attacks increases by 40% whenever his health is full. Even without full health though, it's still gonna deal a lot of damage. Like I said, he's tied with the highest SP for a non-resurrected character, he has Frenzy at 2, and he's got an ability that increases the amount of melee damage he deals by 10% across the board. So basically, when his health is full, he deals 50% more damage before Frenzy at 2. Plus, all of his attacks have a chance to inflict debilitating weakening, increasing the damage even more. Now, a character with a full stamina ability typically has a way to heal damage, or at least a way to prevent damage. In Kenny's case, he has the ailment reversal ability, which essentially heals him anytime somebody attacks him with a status ailment, and then deflects a status ailment back to the enemy who tried to inflict it. This is a really good way to heal, but it also completely depends on the enemies, so it's not consistent. Still, even without that 40%, he deals a lot more damage than most of the other characters on this list. Not to mention, he has Marauder, which is guard break and nullify melee resistance in one, Poise, meaning his attacks can't be interrupted, and in addition to being able to deal weakening, he's also completely immune to it, which for him just means immunity to the floor hazards that cause it. As for the actual strong attacks, they're pretty crazy. Not only does he have Havoc, increasing the range, but he's also got some really useful ones with the Hybrid Vortex move Strong Attack 1, similar to the Artworks version of Ichigo. Only his is better than Ichigo since he has Frenzy at 2, and it's far more likely to increase the chance of inflicting weakening. Kenny's Strong Attack 2 is a beam shot with the range that's beyond full screen, and his Strong Attack 3 is also beyond full screen. Honestly, including the two ahead of him, he's actually the fastest character on this list, with the greatest consistent range. And if it wasn't for the utility of the other two, he'd probably be at number 1.
この機を逃す道理はない。波動の96一等加速
Coming in at number 2, we have Asashiro, the most sought after character of this current banner. And for very good reason, this guy is insanely good. Asashiro has a really high SP as well as Frenzy. He also has Berserker at 40%, Guard Break on his attacks, and all of his attacks can inflict debilitating drain, with his special even being able to inflict debilitating burn on top of the bombardment. Not only that, but when he inflicts a status ailment, his SP goes up by 80%, letting him actually deal more damage with his strong attacks than characters who just have a Frenzy at 2. This guy's also got some pretty useful strong attacks with the Beyond Full Screen Strong Attack 3, Hybrid Vortex move Strong Attack 2 that gathers enemies in one spot and then pushes them back, greatly increasing the chance of inflicting drain, and a Shave Shot Strong Attack 1, which is actually something I want to talk about, because I'm sure a lot of people were expecting this guy to be number 1, and honestly, if he had a slightly better Strong Attack 1, he probably would have taken it. That was really the only thing holding him back. Yes, it has great range, but unfortunately, it doesn't deal that much damage. It doesn't even hit as much as other Shave Shot moves that trade damage for amount of hits, increasing the chance of inflicting a status limit. Yes, it does hit more than the average Strong Attack 1, but only by 1 hit, 2 with Frenzy. It's still a good move, don't get me wrong, but it would be much better as a Beam Shot or a Force Back Shave Shot. Still, everything else about him is great. He's got 2 killers of Hollow and Arankar, and he's also got the ability to dodge Hollow and Arankar attacks by 50%, meaning they just hit half the time. In addition to that, he's also got a new ability, Counter Attack, which inflicts a pretty decent amount of damage, honestly, to any enemy that attacks him, and he dodges with his dodge ability. Simply put, if your stats are high enough, you can literally do nothing and enemies will take themselves out, as long as they're Hollows or Arankars and you have enough time to just wait. Since it is a decent amount of damage that it inflicts, but it would still take you forever if you decided to do nothing. Finally, to top things off, this character is also completely immune from all status elements, meaning the only way to hurt him is to actually physically attack him, and like I said, if you're a Hollow or Arankar, you'll just be hurting yourself half the time. Honestly, even as I speak, I'm so tempted to put him at number 1, but that was kind of the case with the last 3 characters anyway, so I'm just gonna have to stick with it. Now before I get to number 1, I want to thank the people who are members of this channel. I am sorry it's been a while since I've actually posted anything. Like I said, I've been moving and life just gets busy, so I am sorry about that and I'll try to be more consistent, though top 10s may not come as frequent since they take a really long time to make. Also, 6 honorable mentions.
我々も全力を尽くすほかありません。波動の88飛竜激毒新戦来砲。
後のことなんざ考えて出し惜しみしたら撃ち殺すぞ。
この程度ですか。私たちの相手ではありません。
ヤシル、そこにいろ。これを待ってたぜ。このゾクゾクする感覚をよ。
プレゼントを届けに来ましたよ。どうぞ受け取ってください。メリークリスマス。クリスマスや。
どいつもこいつもトロトロしやがって。行くぜ。
ああ、やはり楽しいですね。戦いというのは。
Finally, at number 1, we have the Spirits Are Forever With You version of Retsu, the very first Kenpachi. While Azashiro does have the 2 killers and counter attack over her, she's got just about everything else over him. Retsu, like Kenpachi Zaraki in the number 3 spot, is also tied with the highest SP in the game for anyone who's not a resurrected character. She's also got Frenzy at 2, and she's got Berserker at 20%, as well as the ability to inflict an extra 20% more damage anytime her health is full, which is very, very often. All of her attacks have a chance to inflict both debilitating, weakening, and drain, with the exception of her Strong Attack 3. This is because the Strong Attack 3 is actually a heal move, which is the first time ever we've gotten a Strong Attack 3 that's a heal move, and hers is actually also a charge move, meaning it doubles in strength when fully charged, and it can actually deal more damage than her special. Now, it being in the Strong Attack 3 slot is actually very important. In the past, characters have had heal moves for Strong Attack 1s, and usually Strong Attack 2s, and as useful as they are, they kind of felt like a waste of a Strong Attack, since a regular Strong Attack would charge a lot faster than a Strong Attack that's a heal move. It being in the number 3 spot's a lot better, since the charge time for a Strong Attack 3 and a charge time for a heal move is a lot closer than a Strong Attack 2. And for Retsu, it gets even better. Not only does she deal more damage at full health, but when she is at full health, the amount of time she has to wait for her charge moves to come back decreases by an extra 6%, letting you spam your attacks a lot more frequently, and it's very likely she will be at full health since all of her attacks can heal her. Speaking of which, let's get into them. Her Strong Attack 1 is a beam shot with a range that's beyond full screen. Her Strong Attack 2 is a hybrid vortex move that gathers enemies in one spot and then pushes them back. It's very likely to inflict weakening and drain, and is really good for crowd control, whether it's regular enemies or bosses. Then there's a Strong Attack 3 that has really good range even if it's not fully charged thanks to the of havoc, but when it is, it's beyond full screen, and it inflicts double damage. Not to mention, if you're at full health, it comes back at the regular speed of a regular strong attack 3. Then there's that special. Not only does it inflict weakening and drain, but it also inflicts weakened defense, dealing even more damage and allowing for upcoming damage to be even more painful. Something that's super useful in guild quests, or you should definitely take her since she has Marauder, and can be used in more than one. Whether you think Kenpachi Zaraki, Kenpachi Azashiro, or Kenpachi Yachu should be at number 1, I think we can all agree that in this game they've definitely all earned the title.